Ever had a sudden scary thought pop into your head? Or have you ever had a bad memory of a past disappointment or a past failure enter your mind? Maybe you're just going about your day minding your own business when out of nowhere a disturbing idea or image flashes through your mind. It could be something completely out of character for you, something that makes you feel anxious or even horrified, or something from the past that makes you feel sad or disappointed in yourself. These thoughts can be so jarring that they stop you in your tracks, leaving you wondering where they came from and why they appeared. These sudden unwanted thoughts are known as intrusive thoughts. They can make you feel anxious, worried, or even scared. You might find yourself questioning your own mind, wondering if there's something wrong with you for having such thoughts. But the truth is, intrusive thoughts are more common than you might think. Almost everyone experiences them at some point in their lives. Intrusive thoughts can take many forms. Sometimes they are recurring memories of times when you have failed to say or to do the right thing. Or they could be thoughts about how someone has let you down or betrayed you in the past. If left unchecked, these thoughts of past events can trap you in the cycle of thinking about things that you cannot change, while robbing you of the joy of enjoying the present moment and of planning for the future. Sometimes intrusive thoughts might be disturbing images, irrational fears, or worries about unlikely events. For example, you might suddenly imagine something terrible happening to a loved one, even though there's no reason to think it will. These thoughts can be incredibly distressing, making you feel confused and helpless. You might even start to avoid certain situations or activities because you're afraid of triggering these thoughts. Imagine you're at a train station waiting for your train to arrive. You're standing on the platform minding your own business, when suddenly a horrifying thought pops into your head. What if you push someone onto the tracks? It's a terrible, unthinkable idea, and you're instantly horrified by it. You might start to feel anxious, your heart racing as you try to shake the thought from your mind. But no matter how hard you try, it lingers, making you feel even more distressed. These kinds of thoughts are often about taboo subjects, things that go against our values and beliefs. They might involve violence, inappropriate behavior, or other things that we find deeply unsettling. Because these thoughts are so out of character, they can make us feel guilty or ashamed. We might worry that having these thoughts means there's something wrong with us, or that we're secretly bad people. But it's important to remember that having an intrusive thought doesn't make you a bad person. These thoughts are just random involuntary mental events. They don't reflect your true character or intentions. In fact, the very fact that you're disturbed by these thoughts shows that they go against your values. If you were truly a bad person, you wouldn't be upset by them. Intrusive thoughts are a normal part of the human experience. Our brains are constantly generating thoughts, and sometimes they produce things that are strange or unsettling. It's like a mental hiccup, a glitch in the system. Just as our bodies can hiccup or twitch involuntarily, our minds can produce these random, unwanted thoughts. It's a natural, if sometimes uncomfortable, part of being human. If you find yourself struggling with intrusive thoughts, there are things you can do to manage them. One of the most important steps is to recognize that these thoughts are just that, thoughts. They don't have any power over you, and they don't define who you are. You can also try to practice mindfulness, focusing on the present moment and letting go of self-judgment. This can help you observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. Now we're going to look at overthinking. As we've discussed, intrusive thoughts can just pop into our heads unexpectedly and uninvited. However, when we start to dwell on them, we enter the realm of overthinking. Overthinking is a trap we make for ourselves. It's like a mental maze where we keep hitting dead ends. We replay scenarios in our minds, trying to find a different outcome, but it only leads to more frustration and anxiety. This is because the truth is that the events have happened long ago in the past, and therefore cannot be changed, or they are imaginary scenarios and don't actually exist in reality. It's like driving around in circles in a car park searching for an exit that doesn't exist. This is what overthinking feels like. We become trapped in our thoughts, unable to move forward. When we get stuck in what-if thinking, our minds create frustrating scenarios that often manifest themselves as real life, stress, suppression of our immune system, and even other physical symptoms, like headaches, insomnia, hypertension, or cardiovascular problems. Replaying old conversations, worrying about what you said, thinking about every word, every gesture, and wondering if you could have said something differently is classic overthinking. The key to overcoming this is to train your brain to accept that sometimes you, like everyone else, gets things wrong. It is also important to remind yourself that a past failure is just good preparation for the next event. Thinking like this allows you to learn from the past, quickly let it go, and then enables you to apply your new learning to future events. We overthink because we want to be in control or avoid mistakes. We believe that by thinking things through we can prevent bad outcomes. But the truth is that overthinking often leads to inaction. We become so caught up in our thoughts that we fail to take any real steps forward. But life is unpredictable. Overthinking won't change that. No matter how much we plan or worry, we can't control everything. Sometimes we just have to let go and trust that things will work out. And if we do get it wrong, we will learn from it. Embracing uncertainty can be difficult at first, but it's a necessary part of living a fulfilling life. So instead of overthinking, try to focus on the present moment. Mindfulness and meditation can help you to stay grounded and reduce anxiety. When you find yourself spiraling into overthinking, take a deep breath and remind yourself that it's okay to not have all the answers. Also engage in activities that bring you joy and distract your mind from overthinking. Whether it's a hobby, exercise, or spending time with loved ones, these activities can help you break free from the cycle of overthinking and bring a sense of peace and balance to your life. Now we're going to take a moment to understand why we have intrusive thoughts, because this will help us to manage them and to overcome them. Our brains are always looking out for danger. It's how our ancestors stayed safe. But now, our brains can sometimes overreact, seeing harmless things as threats. Stress, trauma, and even our genes can also play a role. The anxiety intrusive thought loop is basically the fact that intrusive thoughts make us anxious, and anxiety makes us have more intrusive thoughts. It's a tough cycle to break because when we have an intrusive thought, we try to push it away. But that often makes it worse, like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the faster it pops back up. The same goes for intrusive thoughts. Trying to control them makes them stronger, making us more anxious. The truth is that we cannot control our intrusive thoughts or overthinking by using willpower. However, the good news is that we don't need to try to suppress our intrusive thoughts or our overthinking, and that we don't need to learn just to live with them either. The key to freedom is to teach our brains to process our intrusive thoughts and overthinking differently, by using techniques such as cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is a structured, goal-oriented psychotherapeutic approach that focuses on the interconnections between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It is particularly effective in addressing issues such as overthinking, where excessive rumination can lead to anxiety, indecision, and even depression. By applying CBT techniques, you can develop a more balanced and rational perspective that alleviates the burdens of overthinking. Here's how you can apply CBT principles in a practical way. The first step in addressing overthinking through CBT is to become aware of the specific thoughts that lead to your excessive rumination. This often includes cognitive distortions such as catastrophizing, black and white thinking, or overgeneralization. Keep a thought diary where you document instances of overthinking. For instance, if you find yourself obsessing about a presentation at work, note the exact thoughts you are having, such as if I mess up, everyone will think I'm incompetent. This will help you recognize patterns and triggers. Once you have identified your negative thought patterns, the next step is to challenge these thoughts. Ask yourself about the validity of these thoughts and whether there is evidence that contradicts them. Using the earlier scenario, question the belief that everyone will think I'm incompetent. What evidence do you have to support this? Have you received positive feedback in the past? By gathering evidence, you can reframe the thought to something more balanced, such as, while I may make mistakes, I've successfully completed presentations before and my colleagues are supportive. Mindfulness can be an invaluable tool in CBT for managing overthinking. It helps you stay present and reduces the tendency to ruminate on past events or worry about future ones. Engage in mindfulness meditation for 10-15 minutes daily. Focus on your breath, and when your mind wanders to overthinking, gently redirect your attention back to your breathing. This practice helps you develop an awareness of your thoughts without becoming entangled in them. Overthinking often stems from feeling overwhelmed by problems. By enhancing your problem-solving skills, you can approach issues more constructively rather than ruminatively. When you encounter a problem, such as deciding whether to accept a job offer, break it down into smaller, manageable parts. Create a pros and cons list, evaluate each point, and set a time limit for your decision-making process. This structured approach reduces the space for overthinking and fosters confidence in your decision. One of the hallmarks of overthinking is the tendency to dwell on thoughts indefinitely. Setting time limits for reflection can help contain this behavior. Allocate 15 minutes each day to think about your concerns or decisions. After this period, consciously shift your focus to another activity. Use a timer to help enforce this boundary. You may find that many of your worries diminish once they are given a designated time slot. Overthinking is often exacerbated by harsh self-criticism. Cultivating self-love and self-compassion can mitigate this tendency and promote a healthier mindset and better mental health. So, for example, the next time that you catch yourself overthinking, pause and speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend who is experiencing similar concerns. Gently remind yourself that everyone makes mistakes and that it's normal to feel uncertain sometimes. This shift in tone can help you become more forgiving and less critical of yourself. Overthinking can lead to avoidance behaviors, which further perpetuate your cycle of anxiety and indecision. Engaging in behavioral activation helps you approach situations rather than avoid them. For example, if you find yourself overthinking about social interactions, actively schedule regular outings with friends or attend networking events. Set yourself small, achievable goals, like speaking to one new person, to gradually build up your confidence and reduce the urge to overthink or to hide yourself away. Remember that CBT is not a one-size-fits-all approach. It requires ongoing assessment and adjustment based on what works for you. So after a few weeks of implementing these techniques, evaluate your progress. Are you still overthinking as much? Which strategies have been most effective? Adjust your approach as necessary, perhaps by incorporating new techniques or seeking additional support. To summarize, to stop overthinking, we need to accept that we can't control everything. We need to accept that our thoughts are just thoughts, not facts. We need to accept that it's okay to make mistakes as long as we learn from them. We need to practice challenging intrusive thoughts and overthinking with reframing. For example, saying to yourself, yes, I could have handled that situation better, but I've learnt from it. I forgive myself, and I'll be better equipped to act differently in the future. We also need to remind ourselves that past events are in the past. They don't define us now in the present. Remember, a quiet mind isn't about having no intrusive thoughts or never overthinking. It's about changing how we relate to our negative thought patterns. Over time, with practice, the neuroplasticity of our brains will change the way that we think, making us better able to process our intrusive thoughts and to turn them into something positive. Thanks for listening. Please do like, share, and subscribe for more.